MMA Rants and Raves, WEC 51. José Aldo versus Manny Gamburyan. Guys, let's talk about this fight. Let's start with Gamburyan. You know, here's a guy at a 145-pound weight class, which is one of the lightest weight classes out there. He just looks really solid and built and big. And of course the reason is because even at that weight class, he's one of the shorter guys in the weight class. Also one of the guys that has a lesser reach. And being short actually comes to his advantage because in the business that he's in, it really helps. What business is that? Wrestling, judo. Being short gives you a lower center of gravity. You can hit your opponent low. It helps you take your opponent down better because you got more force coming down low, more size coming down low. Makes it easier to take your opponent down, especially if you're dealing with a taller, more lankier opponent. So a guy like Gamburyan, you know, he can give anybody problems. I mean, in the type of business that he's in. And like I said, that's wrestling. And what's interesting about wrestling is, and I always say it, it's the most important base to have. Because think about what it does. I mean, you could be facing against the most dangerous Muay Thai guy, against a guy who does karate, against a guy who does kickboxing, or just plain boxing. Whatever type of stand-up it is, a wrestler takes all of that away. If he can get you down and you're on your back, you can't do Muay Thai off your back. You can't do kickboxing off your back. You can't box off your back. So what it does is negates what your opponent has, and then it opens up your game at the same time. So it does two things for you. That's how important it is, especially if you're on top and you got good ground and pound. If you're on top, you can do some really good submissions. Easier to submit a guy when you're on top than when you're on the bottom, of course. So it really opens up a lot of things for you and also negates what your opponent has, especially if they're a stand-up fighter. So that's what Gamburyan brings to the table. You know, he's on 3-fight winning streak. Definitely deserves a title shot, and he got it. So let's talk about José Aldo. Guys, we are definitely in the José Aldo era. As far as the 145-pound weight class, I mean, I really can't see anybody beating this guy unless he gets injured or something happens. You know, a mistake, something happens, because this guy is just unlike anything I've seen in the 145 weight class. I mean, especially after his last fight against Faber. I mean, Faber's legs look really bad. It just shows how hard this guy hits, how fast he comes at you. His cardio is amazing. I mean, he's the complete fighter as a featherweight, as far as what I've seen. I mean, he really should have finished Faber in that fight, but Faber is just so tough. He's one of the toughest guys out there at 145. So he stuck in there. Remember, he got in that crucifix position. I mean, he was just taking it. He can really take punishment. I mean, he's got a lot of heart. So, you know, if you look at Aldo's other fights, I mean, he's just really tough. You know, with that Muay Thai, with those leg kicks. And then, of course, he's a Brazilian Jiu-jitsu black belt. So, as far as these two guys, when they face off, it's really a good matchup because Gamburyan is actually a guy that may pose a matchup problem for Aldo because he has those takedowns. The question is, can he catch Aldo, and can Aldo stop those takedowns? That is what's going to be very interesting to see. And let me tell you something, guys. WEC and these lighter weight classes, the most exciting fights come out of these weight classes. If you like excitement, people complain about boring cards and boring fights. There's very few boring fights in the WEC. These are high impact, high octane fights, guys that move very fast, tons of cardio, and all you're going to get is excitement. I can tell you that much. So, really looking forward to this fight and all the other fights on the WEC 51 card. So anyway, I'm going to make a prediction in this fight. I'm going to say Aldo takes it. But of course, Gamburyan has a chance, like I said, if he can get him down. And that's the question, if. And the question is how long you can hold him down. So that's what makes the fight very intriguing. So I got Aldo taking this fight. That's my prediction. Would like to know what you think about the fight and the WEC 51 card. Please leave your comments below the video, rate this video and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.